I'm going to be joined now for a panel debate, and we'd like some questions from the audience at various stages as well. So I'd like to welcome to the stage, in alphabetical order, Elena Churilova, who's Chief Executive of Cino, Christopher Coomes, as Chief Executive of X1 Pipeline, Masha Moisseyeva, founder of Ogni and the Managing Director of DutchBasecamp, and Robin Waters, the COO and board member of the European Startup Network. So we'll just introduce yourselves a little bit, briefly, and explain, what your company does, what inspired you to set it up, and why in Europe. So start with you, Elena.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Elena. I'm one of the co-founders of Cino. We're in the payments industry. What we do is we are the first actually company in the world that has built something called shared payments. So if one of you guys, need to buy airplane tickets with a friend or with your partner, usually one person has to buy for the both of you, and then you have to send a payment request to get the money back. But imagine if any payment can be done directly from everyone's bank account, so no one has to reimburse each other, no one has to keep track of who owes who. And that's exactly what we've built. We started our company in 2022, went live with the product in 2023, and are still the first in the market, so very proud about that. The reason why I started Cino is because I used to work at Bumble. I'm a product person. I build products at tech companies. And back in the day, I saw two things. One is there was a shift with Gen Z who were talking a lot about money during our interviews. We were actually trying to understand how to make them date better, but we were always talking about money. And it's because having to reimburse each other for Gen Z 17 to 30 times a year, it's a big hassle, and if someone doesn't pay you back, that really sours your relationship. And then the second thing is, of course, I met someone on Bumble, and I started splitting expenses. I'm a 50-50 type of girl, so I have tried everything from the Tri-Counts, Splitwise of the world, to opening a joint bank account, and experience was just in there. So I decided to quit my, soft corporate job and go back into startup mode, so that's my story.
It's one of those typical founder stories. People like me just moan and complain. Why doesn't this work? And maybe write a column, call my MP. But you actually make a difference. So, Chris.
All right. So I'm CEO of X1 Pipeline. We started out evaluating startups using our AI model, and we give what you call maybe a credit score for a company to see how investable they are. It works across the board for any sector, because every company needs to be successful in many of the same KPIs. I started this because first I was at Google trying to find early stage startups, and I couldn't find any because by the time I could actually find them, they were way too expensive to either acquire or buy products from. We wanted to be first to market. And then when I moved to Slovenia and became an angel investor, I found the exact same problem, where I couldn't find companies to invest in. I could see maybe 180 of them, but I know there's hundreds of thousands. And when one time I was asked to do a pitch competition, I was new and unexperienced in this level, so they said, here's 100 companies, would you like to review them and pick 10 for a pitch competition? I was like, oh, sure, no problem. And then I got into it, and after 5 hours, I got to number 20. I was like, this is not going to work out for me. This is taking way too long, and I'm doing the same thing over and over again. So let's build that into an AI. AI is cheaper now, so we can actually do it. We got over 10,000 startups in the first 18 months evaluated, and in the past month and a half, we launched our new version of our app that is more like a LinkedIn for the innovation ecosystem. So we evaluate startups, we give them advice, they could talk to the AI and say, what do I do next? And it actually tells them how to build their company better, and it gives the investors ability to ask questions and talk to the company and get ready before they have a decision. As an investor, when I would have that 30-minute meeting with a startup, the first 25 minutes were always, tell me about financials, blah, 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 all these things, and 5 minutes of getting to know the founder. This flips it on its head. So now you spend 5 minutes asking questions you didn't get from X1, and then get to know them better, and then you have more of a solid foundation to go forward with. So, yeah.
Great. Masha.
Great. So I'm currently leading DutchBasecamp. It's a European organization headquartered in Amsterdam, and we help startups and scale-ups with internationalization. So we work a lot with the governments, and we work with foreign direct investment departments, but also helping European startups to expand abroad. And throughout my journey, I saw that compliance makes it very difficult to both scale in Europe, but also for foreign companies to come to European market. So I thought, hey, let's solve this problem. So simultaneously, I'm building a startup called Ogni that helps startups with compliance. So what we do, we're using AI in order to help companies identify what applies to them, because honestly speaking, a lot of smaller companies don't even know what applies to them. So they know something does, they know the GDPR is there, but apart from that, it's quite confusing. So we help them to map it out. We help them to understand in which priority it applies, how it overlaps with the current frameworks in place. Let's say you have ISO 27001. Does it mean that you also cover a part of another framework or another act? So, and then we also help to automatically collect evidence. So it works both for individual companies, but also for larger companies that manage vendors across their digital supply chains. So it gives a more automated and centralized overview. And I saw the problem of regulations firsthand. So we decided to fix it and automate it for companies that we work with.
Right. So you could be the one member of the panel that's pushing for more regulation.
No, you know, actually, commercially speaking, I should be, but because I want to help startups, no.
Robin, I'm very pleased that somebody on the panel wore a hoodie. I was a bit nervous. I was letting the side down with my suit. So.
All good. Great. Thank you. So my name's Robin. I have a background in technology journalism. I was an editor at TechCrunch for quite a few years. Went to the Next Web. Grew frustrated that the European tech ecosystem wasn't really covered properly by any of these publications, and started a company called Tech.eu, which I've since grown, sold, and left, because I wanted to be a little bit more of an active participant in growing this European tech ecosystem. So nowadays I invest in startups, but I'm also involved in a number of organizations, including the European Startup Network, which is an umbrella organization basically representing about 35 regional and national startup associations from across Europe. And I'm also involved with a movement called EU Inc., hence the cap that I'm wearing, that is pushing for an actual 28 regime that's useful and impactful for startups.
Great, thanks very much. So if we just turn to sort of, why Europe and the pros and cons, sort of big picture, we can go into more details later, but Chris, your accent portrays that you may may not be native to this continent. So why did you decide to set up in Europe, and what have you found, the good things and the bad things about?
There's a lot of both. I moved to Slovenia because it was absolutely beautiful, and I always say I want to live where I would go on vacation, so go live where you go on vacation. But after I got there, like I said, I was doing the angel investing, and I found a problem that I could solve. So that's why I started X1 Pipeline. It was just a common problem across the board. Then it was nice to be able to use the ecosystem, because every country has its own smaller ecosystem for startups and investors and things. So if you can capitalize on that in your own market, then it's easier to expand. You kind of have this product market fit, and then jump between. Everybody kind of knows everybody. It's not like anywhere else in the world. So you could pilot in multiple countries and then try to expand as you go, and you're learning from a lot of diversity along the way, because every country is quite different, I've learned. In America, everybody seems to be very much the same. So in Europe, everybody's different. So the people are great to work with. It's easy to grow in one market, and there's so much talent here that is underutilized, and they really, really want to work for something big. There's a lot of ambition, but not a lot of understanding of how to grow or how to build a company. I'm not sure if that's not taught in school well or not, but people just don't know how to run a company a lot of times, but they want to get into it. So there's so much drive, and that's how we were able to capture so much talent here to help us work on everything.
Thank you. And how about you, Elena?
I don't like living in the US. I don't want to go there. Well, I mean, I was raised in Italy, so Europe is my home. I did start a company in Japan, which was fun, did that for 2.5 years. And I don't know, I just was pulled back to move back to Europe because this is where I'm from. And yeah, I'm sorry, repeating myself, US, no, I don't want to do it there. Yeah, I know it could be way easier, I know it could grow way faster, but I prefer to struggle and just do it here.
Interesting.
It's funny.
Robin, what do you see as the pros and cons of the European, you know, you deal with a lot of startups. Why is it a good place to start a company, and why is it a bad place?
Yeah. I mean, Daniel did a really good job at sort of explaining the basics. We have a lot of talent, world-class research was mentioned, an industrial base. So we have all of that, but we had all of that 10 years ago as well, 20 years ago as well. But if you look at the numbers, and this is me comparing the US against Europe, which is not my favorite thing to do, I have to say, but there you can really see the gap that we have in the last 25 years, especially when it comes to funding. And that's because the US is really, really good at scale and speed, and Europe is really, really bad at scale and speed. So there's a lot that needs to be fixed. I've been chronicling this European tech ecosystem now for about almost 20 years, and the problems that European startups face today are really not that much different from the ones they faced when I started TechEU, which is about 13 years ago. And I find that very frustrating because I'm a champion of Europe. I want European innovation to happen and to grow, and I want everyone to be able to build scale-ups from here. But I can also see that we're putting up barriers almost, you know, all the way through, from incorporation up until exit. There's so many barriers that exist here in Europe that it just makes it all the more difficult. It's like we're playing in hard mode in Europe, to have like a gaming reference in there.
Would you agree with that, Masha?
I think I'm going to say something maybe unpopular, but I moved to the Netherlands 12 years ago, and it was by choice. So I've been there for 12 years, and I started my career as a founder, right? So I had a startup when I was 21. And then I always was skeptical about the government, maybe because where I'm coming from. But what I discovered with DutchBasecamp is actually, if you ask the right support, actual Dutch government and European government is very supportive. It's just sometimes they need a little bit of guidance. They need to know how to provide the support, how to measure certain KPIs, right? And what is the methodology behind it. So I'm very positively surprised by how supportive the government can be to startups. It's just the guidance and the voices of startups are not being heard enough. So I think Europe has this amazing ecosystem of academia, governments, and startups. It's just we need to collaborate together a little bit more and collaborate, of course, among the countries as well.